Okay, so I've received a couple requests just to kind of refresh on the bone structure setup. So I'm just going to rebuild that real quick, try to make just a really short video for you guys. I'm going to go through just the bone structure basics and then just a really quick introduction to skin painting. I know a decent amount of people missed that class because it was right before spring break. So let's just take a quick look at that. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our joint system for the head, and I'm going to do a smooth bind of the head to the bones. And that's all we're going to cover in this video. So we're going to keep it really simple because a lot of our animation is actually going to be driven by blend shapes in this one and a few controls. So let's just switch over to our right view. So when we draw our joints, that's going to put that right on the X, or right on the ZY axis plane. And so you can see that I'm already in the rigging menu. I can click this button here, or I can also go to skeleton create joints. So let's just do that. And I want to put my first, I think we're just going to do 5 joints for this. So we're going to do one at the base of the neck, right around here. And this is basically going to serve the purpose of kind of grounding our rig. We're gonna take all of the bottom polys here, and we're gonna bind them directly to this bone when we do our skin weights. And that's gonna basically make it that we're only gonna be animating the head joint and the jaw joint. So let's just finish drawing this. We're going to put the head right around here, kind of base of the neck, just below the ear, and holding shift just to make sure it's like a good orientation. I'm going to draw my last joint up here at the top of the head. Hitting G now just to do the same tool again, and this time I'm going to draw it. I'm going to start by clicking right in the middle of the joint here, which will draw it from that joint, and you'll know that it's working because it'll highlight it. And then I'm going to look for the pivot of the jaw, which I think is probably going to be right around here. And then I'm going to draw one more out to end my joint structure just outside of the mouth. Hit enter. So now last thing we want to do is just label everything to make sure that everything is easy to find when we do our painting weights. So let's just call this one, we're going to do a prefix of J for all of our joints. So we'll call this one J, let's call it J neck. Next one we'll call J head. After that, we'll call this one anything that sort of ends anything. We're literally going to just put end at the very end. Not sure what happened there. So J, head, end. So I know that this one doesn't really get any kind of weights or anything. It's just there to end my joint chain. And then we'll do J, jaw, and J, jaw, end. So that's it. Basically, this structure here is what we want. Just one. Our neck, base of the head, which is going to rotate the whole head, the jaw, which is going to rotate the jaw, and the head end here, which is just going to kind of hold everything in place. So I'm going to hit save on that. And next thing we want to do is a quick smooth bind. For now, I'm just going to bind the head, just so we can kind of see what that looks like. And we'll look at painting weights. I'm not going to paint the whole structure, but I'll just kind of show you how it works again. So we're going to select the base parent joint here, which is the neck. So we can look at our hierarchy here. Obviously, neck is at the very top, so that's the parent to everything. And we're going to shift select the head. We'll do skin, bind skin. And this might take a minute or two on your computer. Actually, I'm surprised that it takes this long on this computer because it's just one mesh. But yeah, it's not too bad. So once this is done, we're going to see that it doesn't really deform exactly how we want it to yet. This one will probably be pretty close. So let's see, actually. I'm going to turn some of these off. Let's take the teeth and the eyes and put them in a display layer. Eyes. I'm going to turn this display layer off, so it's kind of distracting. And let's take another look. So this is actually already really good. We have a little bit of the base of the neck moving, which we don't want. The one thing that's going to be a problem here is going to be the jaw, 'cause it's going to pull the whole face. So the reason for that is these two joints are closer to anything on the face than any of the other joints, so it basically just does sort of a fall off, just like when you do a soft select. That's how it selects, so that, if I select this and hit B, it's essentially doing that from each joint and then adds influence based off of proximity. So the way that we manipulate that now is to paint our weights. And painting weights is basically just telling each vertex which joint to be influenced by. So let's do I want to go to skin, and we're going to go to paint skin weights. I'm going to go to the options box here. And yeah, everything is up there. For this one, I think in class we did the black and white. I'm going to use the color ramp. It gives us a little bit more of an idea. Gives us a more accurate idea of like the actual weight of everything. So first thing that I want to do here is I want to make sure that all of these verts are 100% influenced by the neck. So it looks like we're pretty close, but when I rotated my head, and we can actually rotate it ahead of time now, like way, way, way out of the way. So now, actually first let me see what the default bind pose is. Yeah, so I'm actually gonna, alright, let's just leave that alone for now. Maybe I'll move it over this way. Yeah, my rotations are fine, so I can rotate it this way. So let's just click this again. Double click it to get the attribute editor up. And what I want to do is do add. Or no, I'm actually going to do replace. And I'm going to take my value all the way up to 1. So replace is pretty self-explanatory. It will replace whatever I brush over with a value of whatever value is in here. Let's leave opacity up to 1 too, and we're only going to work with value. So the nice thing to think about is, like if I do just 0.3, no matter what I do, it's going to have 0.3 influence, which obviously looks really weird right now because it's not really what I want. I want to set it up to 1 for JNeck. So you'll see everything's kind of moving into place. So even though it was red, a few of these were not quite perfectly flooded. And another way that you can make absolutely sure that the verts have been flooded with that is to actually just select those vertices. I'm just going to do a double click select to get that whole edge loop. Go into paint weights and hit flood. So yeah, so white is actually, you can't really see it in here, but white means it is absolutely 100% influenced by that. So if I were to set this value to 0 and hit flood, it would flood it with 0. And that messes everything up, because I have this big rotation on here. So let's set it back to 1, hit flood, and that all jumps back to normal. So those are kind of the two ways that you can influence the paint weights. So another thing that I could do, since I know about the vertex selection, is I can just select, let's take a look here, how much of the head is getting influenced. Quite a bit, and we only want the bottom part of this jaw to actually be influenced by this. So let's just do a vertex selection of just a big drag over the face. Unfortunately, selecting joints actually overrides any other selection, so sometimes you have to select around the joints. Make sure, because if you drag over the joints, even if you're in vertex select mode, the joint selection is going to override that. So kind of getting in a little bit tighter and a little bit tighter as we go. Hit 4 to do wireframe and make sure we get everything in here. Make sure that we don't get the bottom lips. I'm going to switch to my front view. Looks like I accidentally deselected everything. Okay. So I think that's pretty close. Missing a few of these. I'm going to want to give a little bit of weight back to these because I want the lips to stretch along the sides. But I'm just going to start off by flooding everything with the head. So you can see the head right now is influencing a bunch of stuff, but the jaw is still pulling some of this face. So let's just do a flood of that. And actually, while we're at it, I'm going to turn the joints off. I'm just going to only look at polygons right now. Let's just flood almost the entire top of the head, because I really don't want this to be influenced by anything else. And I am going to want a little bit of a gradient here, so I'm only going to go down to about here, to things that I know I want moving perfectly in sync with the head joint. So I'll go to this again, and let's just do another flood. And now let's take a look at what we've got. So I can just select my jaw over here. First, let's take a look at how the head rotates. So it's still looking pretty good. It's a little rubbery around the neck, but, you know, I'm not going to go into that. You guys can figure out how you want to weight that yourselves. So let's take a look at the jaw. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's a really good start. The head is opening. Now what I'm going to want to do is kind of average some of these and use the smooth brush. The smooth brush is kind of notorious for being a little bit finicky. but we're going to try to use it anyway. And we'll just sort of see what happens. So it's actually working pretty well right now. So basically we just want to kind of smooth out. This is going to just sort of average all the values around the mouth and the neck and the cheek, which is exactly what we want because this is all soft tissue that sort of stretches when the jaw opens. So let's go up to not quite the top of the lip, but a little bit because we want everything here to stretch just a little bit. You can see I'm doing this on both sides. You can try to paint with mirror. It doesn't always work. I think there's like a tiny variation in this model that's making it not work for me. But you could always come in and do mirror weights along whatever axis you want. I believe through the skin. Let's see, mirror skin weights. So yeah, you could go through your options there and give that a try. But it's looking pretty good right now, I think. So I'm going to stop the video here. That is just the basics of creating the bone system and the skinning. I hope this is helpful, and I hope it is short enough that it's not too intimidating. Just one quick chunk. And next, I think I'm going to cover... let me take a look real quick. Yeah, I'm going to cover some of the facial controls for blend shapes. So I know that's a big jump from where I am right here. But the rest of the stuff should be covered in other videos that I'm going to send out. So, all right, that's about it for now. Talk to you later.